Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the LIRA, the locked-in retirement account. Let's go behind the vault. Hey everyone, Angelo behindthevault.net. Now let's take a deep dive into how a LIRA comes into existence. So you're going to leave your employer. What's going to happen next will depend on the kind of pension plan that you have. So if you're in a defined contribution plan, which is a DCP, typically what happens with those plans, you put money in, the employer will match, or the employer will put money in, but you manage the investments. You get to choose how that money grows. Whatever's in that pot is just for you. So when you leave that organization and they say, hey, you got to take your money out of the pension plan, any money you've contributed transfers into an RSP, and any money the employer has contributed to goes into a LIRA. So that's how they make that distinction. If you're part of a defined benefit plan, so let's say you're in HOOP or OMERS or Teachers, or your company is a private defined benefit plan, those plans are pooled plans. And what I mean by that is that you don't get to manage the investments that go in. You just see a chunk of money come off your paycheck every 2 weeks. And then what happens is when you retire, you get a monthly income for life. That's a defined benefit plan. Now, when you leave an organization, sometimes they give you the option to take what's called the commuted value of your pension, which is basically your share, or what they would need to satisfy your share to pay you while you're in retirement. So you can take the commuted value. When you take the commuted value, that commuted value will divide into two different numbers. The first is the chunk that goes into the LIRA that's sheltered, because that's the employer contribution. And then the rest will come to you as income. You can't roll it into an RSP unless you have an RSP room, which most times you won't. Whether you're part of a defined contribution plan or a defined benefit plan, a portion of that is going to go into a LIRA, and it's going to be locked. And you can't access that until age 55 at a minimum. So now you've got your LIRA set up, and you can invest it just like you do your tax-free savings account, your RSP, your non-registered account. You get to the point now where you need to convert it from a LIRA to a LIF. And by the way, the rules around the LIRA to the LIF mirror the RSP to the RIF. You have to convert it no later than the year that you're turning 71. Once you convert it to the LIF, you have an opportunity to take 50% of that money and shift it into your RSP. Thus what I call unlocking it. So let's say, for example, you retire from a company, you have some money in a LIRA, and let's say we grow that money over, 10, 20 years, and then you retire. And let's say there's $500,000 in there. You can now shift $250,000 of that into your RSP, which eventually will become your RIF. Why it's important to do that with the LIF, there are maximums that you have to adhere to. You don't have access to all that money all at once. You have access to a small percentage of it every single year until either you pass away or the account runs down to zero. Whereas with the RSP, you can take all that money out. It's completely liquid whenever you want. You're going to pay the tax on what you take out, but at least you have full control. When we are looking at retirement and we're looking at creating buckets of income, what I tell our clients to do is, when they're in a situation that they have a LIRA, I believe it's very important to take the maximum out every single year, because the sooner you draw down that LIRA, the sooner you're free of that minimum maximum cap. With the LIRA, we're going to take out the maximum. Then the second source of income we're going to look at is the RSP or the RIF, and we're going to take out at least the minimum, and if it's not enough income, we can take out more. When planning for retirement, plan to take the max out of your LIF and then the minimum out of your RIF, and then either use the rest of your RIF or your TFSA or your non-registered account as supplements to top you up. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing it for flexibility. Here's what I don't want to have happen. I don't want to take the minimum out of my LIF and then roll through my RSP, and then I'm in a situation where I get sick, or there's, I have a huge expense and I need access to that money. See, remember, with the RSP, it's completely liquid, or the RIF, it's completely liquid. I can just take it out. With the LIF, I have to make an application now, and maybe they'll let me take it out. When we look at the different vehicles at retirement, there's really four major ones. There's the LIF, the RIF, your tax-free savings account, and your non-registered account. And each of them have different tax implications. So let's talk about that real quick. The LIF and the RIF are taxable dollar for dollar as income every dollar you take out. The non-registered account will have a little bit of capital gain depending on how well you've done in that investment vehicle. And the tax-free savings account, as we all know, is tax-free forever. So really, the most burdened vehicle that you're going to have is the LIF, because it's the highest taxed and you're capped at how much you can take out. So it's the most inflexible vehicle that you have. So that's the one you want to draw down first and as quickly as possible. That's why A, we want to take out the max every year, and B, we want to shift 50% of whatever's in the LIRA when we convert it to the LIF into our RSP or our RIF. Side note, if you don't take action in the year that you turn 71 and you don't convert your LIRA to a LIF or your RSP to a RIF, the investment company that you work with will automatically do it for you. However, they won't be proactive and move 50% of your LIRA money to your RSP or your RIF. They're just going to do it. They're just going to convert it and you're stuck with it. So hopefully this video is teaching you that you need to take a proactive approach with your financial plan and when it comes to having a LIRA. So to summarize, the LIRA and the RSP work the same from a tax perspective. Both are taxed dollar for dollar as if it were income. The difference between the two is RSP is money that you contribute and LIRA is money that your employer has contributed through either a defined contribution or a defined benefit plan. The money from a LIRA that then becomes a LIF has a maximum cap, whereas your RSP or RIF money is completely liquid if you're willing to pay the tax. Both have to be converted at age 71, and don't forget you can shift 50% of that LIRA money into your RSP to unlock it or untrap it and make it completely liquid. All right, hopefully that answers the question on how a LIRA is a little bit different from an RSP. If you've got a LIRA and you're not really sure how it fits in your financial plan, hey, comment below. We'll be happy to help you. Smash that like button on the way, subscribe right here, and here's our next video.